do that, I've seen that there are some new participants here. I would like to get back to them and then find out from them why they also couldn't answer my assignment. I have Boachi Bridgetta. Hello, Boachi Bridgetta. How are you? I gave out some assignment. I can see you were not able to submit it. What happened?
So I was not in class last week.
Oh, okay, right. You're welcome. Anyway, after today's lesson, please try and find out about the assignment. And then Bankole Basira, please, why couldn't you submit your assignment? Hello, Basira.
I didn't. Not the whole of us.
Hello, Petra. Petra, hi. Okay. So let's get back to our screen. So as I said, we are going to be talking about comprehension passage today. Comprehension passage. Some of you are having challenges with the comprehension passage. And in reality, the comprehension has some similar features with the summary passage. Just that the main difference between the comprehension passage and the summary passage is that summary passage has some specific rules you have to follow, which deals with going straight to the point and doing away with irrelevant materials. Some of the stuff that comprehension passage will be allowed for you to share or for you to write as an answer, summary wouldn't take it. So there are some few details that you will not be allowed to write in summary passage, but those details you'll be allowed to write them in the comprehension passage. And some people think that comprehension passage is just that you get up and then you read and you begin to answer. No. There are some real details and guidelines which you must follow. And today we're going to go through them one after the other. We're going to see what is really a comprehension passage. How do they ask questions? How? What are the sources of comprehension passage? And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to understand me and you'll be able to answer real comprehension passages. So you're welcome again. So let's look at our learning objectives. For every lesson, we have to look at what we want to achieve. So today, what I've set out to achieve with you are the following. So by the end of the lesson today, you should be able to, 1, explain what constitutes a comprehension passage. Simply, you should be able to explain to me what makes up a comprehension passage. At least not to me, but yourself. Because that will add up to your understanding. Number 2, you should be able to identify the sources of comprehension question. Yes. So for example, if a question is asked based on a particular passage, are you able to trace the source of the question in the passage? It's very important. Number 3, after everything today, or maybe today and next week, you should be able to answer comprehension questions satisfactorily. You should be able to answer them, especially there are two forms of questions that are normally asked. Some of them are indirect questions, some are direct. The most difficult questions asked are the indirect questions. Please remember that this is a comprehension passage. This passage is meant to test your understanding. It's simply meant to test your understanding of a language, the English language you have been learning since primary school. And of course, since upper primary, you have been answering comprehension passages. Just that in the senior high school, it is a bit more complex. It's a bit more difficult. But the difficult nature has been made to match with your current level of understanding, your current level of brain development. So some of you who are facing challenges with comprehension passages is simply because you don't understand the passage. And that could mean that you're not reading wide, listening to news. And that could be your problem. And I urge you to read wide and listen more to the news item, because that is where the sources of these questions come from, right? Fantastic. So therefore, after looking at the learning objectives, we move on to our first item of the day. Why comprehension passage? Why? Why at all does the syllabus require you to always be looking at comprehension passages and be able to answer them? You see, in life, English language as you study is the language that we use in our Ghanaian context. It's a national language. In fact, it is an international language. Most of you here, and all of you here, I believe, will go to the university. You go and read various courses. It is part of what you are supposed to know to be able to read and understand various forms of books. Therefore, the English comprehension has been incorporated in the English language to enable you to kind of give you the skill and the resources and prepare you for what is coming up ahead of you in life. So please don't be frustrated when you are not able to answer or understand a comprehension passage. It simply means that you have not done enough work. And I will encourage you to do a lot of work in reading, because at the end of the day, you are going to benefit a lot from it when you go to the tertiary institution, and even when you begin work. Because when you begin work, you are going to write a report for your boss, or you are required to summarize a passage, or you're required to understand a passage in whatever field you are. That is why comprehension has been made compulsory as part of English language. But the very basic reason why we are here is the following. Comprehension passage is important because, number one, it is a crucial aspect of the English paper. Yes, when you go to write your final WASI paper, you are going to find it there. So therefore, you are supposed to learn it and learn how to answer it. Number two, it is important because you have to know what measures to adapt to answer questions on it appropriately. What measures are you to pick? What skills are you to take to be able to answer a comprehension passage satisfactorily? Number three, the comprehension passage is meant to test your understanding of a particular test. So as I said earlier on, it is meant to test what you understand or what you don't understand. Okay? Over the past 3 years that you have been learning English language. You have been learning English language. You have been learning English language in Wasi. In the senior high school. What do you understand so far about the English language you have been learning over the past 3 years? So all these things are part of the reasons why you are supposed to learn the comprehension passage and learn how to answer the questions under it. That said and done, let's quickly move on to the next thing. So, how to understand comprehension passages? Kindly follow me. How to understand comprehension passages. There are various forms that people have written about, but I've summarized them and I'm going to share with you now. How is it that you'll be able to understand a comprehension passage such that you can answer questions on it satisfactorily? Number one, some people say that for you to be able to answer a comprehension passage, you have to read the passage in its entirety. Yes, you have to read everything from the beginning to the end of it before you can grasp the understanding of it and go ahead and read the questions. That is one point of view of others. But this works for some people, and this also doesn't work for some people. So some of you here, maybe if you begin by reading the passage, it's not going to help you to answer the questions very well. Some too, the second will work for them. So number two, for some people too, for them to be able to understand the passage, they must first and foremost examine each paragraph in the passage. You must be able to, and you must examine each paragraph in the passage. Remember that it is paragraphs upon paragraph that come up to make the passage. And I am saying that every passage is made up of a number of paragraphs. So, for example, you can find about 8 paragraphs in a passage or about 6 paragraphs in a passage. Each and every paragraph makes up the passage. So therefore, some of you, if you are able to identify the paragraphs and as well identify what we call the topic sentences. So number 2, it is easier for you understanding the passage by identifying the topic sentences in each paragraph and putting the topic sentences together. Remember that every paragraph has an idea. So the main idea in a paragraph is what is described as a topic sentence. And I am going to give you examples. So don't think that I won't give you examples. I'll give you examples. And I'll require you to give me answers. Then we'll look at your answer and my answer and draw a comparison. Then finally we'll draw a conclusion on which is the best answer based on the topic sentences of each paragraph. Remember that the questions that are asked on the passage is always from the passage, especially the direct questions. So for some of you, you have to deal with the topic sentences in each paragraph. Okay, before you understand the passage. And for some of you too, you would have to go and read the questions first. So that's how it works. It works for some people. Some of you would have to go and read the questions first before coming to read the passage before you have the understanding. So there are three forms here I've mentioned. One, some people will have to read the passage in its entirety first before they understand. Number two, some people have to deal with paragraph by paragraph and try to get out the topic sentences before they understand. And some of you would have to go and read the question first, and the question will give you an idea about what the comprehension topic is all about. So when you go and read it, then you come back and read the passage before you have an understanding of it. But let's look at something. What are the sources of a comprehension question? If there is a question for you to answer, how has the question come about? From where has it come from? Remember that, yes, the questions are based on the passage. That's true. But how are the questions taken out from the passage? So we are looking at right now the sources of comprehension passages. Number one, the first source is that the questions are mostly based on the central idea or theme of the passage. And I'm sure all of you here know what theme is all about, because in junior high school, when you were studying Kokru, or when you were studying the basic literature, you were told about what a theme is. And even now in the senior high school, you are told about what a theme is. A theme is mostly the central idea of every story. So every passage also has the following. Every comprehension passage has a theme, central idea of the passage. Number two is it has a settings, time and place in which the story was written. Okay. Number three, it also has what we call subject matter, or what it is about. Okay, what it is about. But mostly, the questions are asked based on the theme, the central idea of the passage. Number two, some questions are based on the theme. That is correct. But the questions may be asked directly. Some of the questions of a comprehension passages are asked directly. And if you look at what I put in the brackets, I'm saying that direct, where the students can readily obtain the answers from. Okay, so it is very basic. For that type of questions, we are going to look at them as examples. For those type of questions, they require you to give a direct answer, and the answer is directly in the passage. You see it. In fact, a student may provide an answer to a question on the theme in direct quotation without fear, provided the answer or the quotation is relevant to the demand of the question. And we are going to look at examples under this type of direct question and answer. We are going to look at it. And number three, at sometimes, the questions on the theme may require the students to reason a little bit on the surface. So not all questions are direct. Remember, not all questions based on the comprehension passage are direct. Here, an answer to a question may be implied. So you are going to imply. Imply simply means you are going to think a little bit and reason and give a reason about why the question was asked, or why somebody did something in the passage. Why the person did something, or why do you think that this thing happened in the passage? That thing will not be given directly in the question. Sorry, in the passage. but you would have to think why that particular thing happened. Or you do what we call deduction. So you do what we call deduce. You deduct or you deduce from the information given. So simply means that you are going to give your opinion based on the question that has been asked you. And mostly, answers in this case may not be directly asked in the first instance, where an answer can be readily recoverable from the passage. Okay? So these are the three things I want you to understand. The questions are based, one, on the theme of the passage. That's one. Number two, the questions may be direct question. So you get the answer directly from the passage. Sometimes you might even have to quote that particular answer. Number three, some of the questions are implied. Simply means you are going to tell the examiner what you think about the question because the answer is not directly in the passage. So you're going to give your opinion on what you think is the answer. But of course, it must be in line with the proposed answer. So these are the three sources of comprehension questions. Let's move on. Now we are going to look at examples. And this is where I ask you to take your pen and paper because you are going to write the answers down on your paper. And I will ask you to, I'm going to mention your names as we do in classroom. So here, if I ask a question, some of you don't raise, I will not see you raise up your hand, but I can see it anyway if you press the icon. So I'll be mentioning your names. And please don't be shy. No answer is wrong here. Remember, no answer is wrong. We're all learning. So you should be able to, as it were, answer the question for me. On the top there, I've given you a short sentence. I need you to look at it carefully because it is based on that we are going to ask the questions below. And the questions are below. They are all here. You can see them. I'm going to read the extract. As expected, the soldier grabbed the armed robber and gave him terrific slaps, which saw him reeling in severe pain to the delight of the community. Again, as expected, the soldier grabbed the armed robber and gave him terrific slaps, which saw him reeling in severe pain to the delight of the community. Now, our question is going to be based on the theme. As I told you that all the questions are asked based on the theme of the passage. So here, we are going to base our question on the theme of this small extract. And we are taking our question based on the content of the question. So here we call it content question. It simply means that the answer is going to come from the passage directly. So I've asked some three questions right here. Number one, what did the soldier do to the armed robber? Number two, who did the soldier grab? Number three, what did the soldier do to the armed robber after grabbing him? All these are based on the content I've given you here. These are three questions, and these three questions have been asked based on increasing level of understanding. Okay? So please, by now you should be writing your answer based on what is above here. Very soon, I'm going to take this page off and ask you the answers. So please be answering the questions in the next 1 minute. And then I'll have to stop the slide and ask questions and take your answers. Then I'll have to continue with the slide for you to see if indeed your answers match with mine, and then we'll draw a conclusion out of it. And if anyone is ready, you can unmute yourself and begin giving me your answers. Yes, I'm still here. If anyone is ready. I'm still here. If anyone is ready. Okay, so I'm going to stop the slide. Yes, I can hear someone is ready.
Sir,
What is your name? Yes, I can hear you, please. Okay, so I'll stop sharing the slides and I have to mention names so that I can get your answers. Okay, watch it, Bridgetta. I can see you are ready.
sir, the answer for the question 1 is the soldier grabbed the armed robber. And question 2 is, sir,
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and question 2, the answer is the armed robber. Question 3
Okay.
the answer is the soldier gave the armed robber terrific slaps.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answer. I appreciate it. Bankole Basira, I can see you have sent me. I need you to mention it. I need you to say it aloud. Bankole Basira. Yes, Basira. Okay, Petra Ai, please, if you are there, let me have your answer. Petra Ai.
Number 1.
Yes.
He grabbed him and gave him a terrific slap.
Okay.
Number 2, the armed robber.
Okay.
And number 3, he gave him a terrific slap.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your answer. Daniel Asamoah, you are up next.
Number 1, the soldier grabbed the armed robber and gave him terrific slaps. Number
Okay.
2, the soldier grabbed the armed robber.
Okay.
Number 3, the soldier gave the armed robber terrific slaps after grabbing him.
Fantastic. Great answers. Great answers. Kelvin Amusa. Okay. Bankole Basira and then Bridgetta, can you put your microphone on mute? Okay. Go ahead, Kelvin Amusa.
1. Soldier
Okay.
gave the armed robber. 2.
Okay.
Robber. 3.
Okay.
Soldier.
Okay, so thank you very much. Now, I'm going to share my answers with you, okay, and compare it with yours. You will see some differences or you will see some similarity, okay? Right, so let me go back to sharing my screen. Give it some few seconds and then you see it right away. So these are the proposed answers. These are the proposed answers. And these answers should be fine. And I'm going to run a commentary by you based on the answers that I've given you right now. Number one, the soldier grabbed the armed robber, or you can say that the soldier grabbed him. It's all correct. But I'll come and run a commentary for you to understand which one is more correct. Number two, the armed robber, or armed robber. So I have A and B there. You can see it's A and B. Number three, the soldier gave him terrific slaps. Or B, you can say the soldier slapped him. Now, please, I'm going to read the commentary down there. Kindly follow me. This will help you understand the thing better. I'm reading. It is abundantly clear that the central idea in the passage is a soldier grabbing and slapping an armed robber. So as to who the soldier grabbed and what the soldier did to the armed robber after grabbing him are obvious. So you see, in that short extract, the central idea was about the soldier grabbing the armed robber and slapping him. These are the kinds of questions we refer to as content questions. The answers are such that the questions are readily obtainable from the text. So in this type of questions, you can get the answer directly from the text or from the passage or from the paragraph. Because answers to such questions are explicitly recoverable from the passage. So you can get them directly from the passage. They are sometimes given in direct quotation. Okay? So this type of questions, you can get the answers from the passage directly. Right, let's move on. Again, look at the A, B, C, the 1, 2, 3. It's the same thing I've repeated, but look at the commentary below. That is where I want you to focus. The commentary below. Consider answers 1A and 2A. Okay? The answer 1A and 2A, both are direct quotation which are acceptable. It means that we have taken them directly from the passage, so they are acceptable. So for this kind of question, when you take the answer directly from the passage, it will mark correct for you. Because they are specific and the answer answer the question without including irrelevant information. So you see, although you are allowed to put some information, but you must go straight to the point and answer the question. Don't please add any irrelevant stuffs which are not needed in the answer. And we have talked about what are irrelevant stuffs. Okay, in a comprehension passage, sometimes and most times, you are allowed to add a bit of adverb and adjective, a bit of it, but don't go too much. In fact, when it is necessary, based on the question that has been asked you, is when you give an answer which has an adverb or adjective. Please let's look at something else. Number 2. So we have looked at what we called a content question. A content question requires you to give a direct answer from the passage. But number 2, we call it implied question. Implied question. Okay? And forgive me, but I didn't quote the text here. I'm going to go back to it. But please write these questions down, I beg you. What did the community want to be done to the armed robber? That's A. What did the community want to be done to the armed robber? B. How did the people in the community feel about the arrest of the armed robber? Number one, A. What did the community want to be done to the armed robber? B. How did the people in the community feel about the arrest of the armed robber? So I'm going to go back to the text for you to see it. I'm sure by now you have finished writing the questions. So above here, you can see the text once more so that you can answer the questions we have asked earlier on. So the question again is, what did the community want to be done to the armed robber? B. How did the people in the community feel about the arrest of the armed robber? I want you to write your answers down and then share the answers with the class. So I'm sure by now your answers should be ready. And anyone ready should kindly unmute his mic and then give us our answers. In the next few minutes, I'll be taking this slide off and be asking you questions about this passage, this extract, based on the question we have asked earlier on. The questions again are, what did the community want to be done to the armed robber? How did the people in the community feel about the arrest of the armed robber? These are based on implied questions. These type of questions, you won't get the answer directly from the passage. It's not there. But you will have to give an opinion based on what you understand about the paragraph or the passage. Okay, so yes, Petra. Yes, who is ready? What you are, Bridget? Are you ready? Daniela Samoa, are you ready? Okay, so time is going. So if none of you is ready, let me go back to the slide and then share my answers with you. Remember that we are looking at implied questions. These questions, the answers cannot be found directly from the passage. You can't go and quote it. You must give your opinion of what you think about the question, right? So I'm going to go back to the screen for you to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so therefore, these are the answers. Number one. So you might think that because the people were happy, therefore it should mean that what did the community want to be done to the armed robber? Number one, the answer is they wanted him to be arrested because they were happy. B, how did the people in the community feel about the arrest of the armed robber? They were delighted or they were happy. Okay, these are implied answers. These answers were not given to you directly in the passage, but you would have to think about it and give a correct opinion of what the correct answer is all about. Okay. Basically, these are the two types of questions that are asked in every comprehension passage. Let's move on. Let's look at a commentary, a brief commentary. The first one, even though one can deduce that the community wanted the armed robber to be arrested, this is not stated explicitly in the text. The student had to reason a little beyond the surface and digest the information adequately to make implied deduction in the case of a question. Number two, the case is not different from question 2. Indeed, the people in the community felt happy because they expected the armed robber's arrest. And that is why they were delighted when the soldier grabbed and slapped him. Apart from questions on the theme, content, and derivative, there are also questions based on the language. Here, the examiner expects the candidate to react appropriately to the linguistics of the language. The candidate has to consider the literary and or other stylistic presentation and the structure of the language. Or again, the candidate should remember that certain words evoke certain images in one's mind. Yes, and I'm going to discuss that with you next week. Sometimes you are asked about the grammatical function of a word. You are asked about the literary device of a word. Okay? Today we will not be discussing that one. Next week we'll look at those ones. How will you be able to give the grammatical function of a certain expression? That is based on the language that has been used in the passage. And after this summary, if we're all available, I will take you to another lesson that will enable you to understand those aspects of grammar very well. Number 3, it is always advisable for candidates to understand why a writer of a passage used a particular word instead of another alternative. So sometimes you are asked to give the meaning of words, use a phrase or another word to give the meaning of the words based on the passage. We shall look at those ones next week. For now, in our conclusion, we have been able to look at the sources of comprehension passage, and I gave you 3 of them. I said it is based on the theme. That's 1. Number 2, the question can be direct, where you can get the answer from the passage. 2, the question can be implied question, where you get the answer from an opinion which must be correctly be based on the passage. Based on what we have learned today, we are currently on our plenary. Please kindly volunteer to answer these questions. What did you learn today? Number 2, what don't you understand? These questions, if you answer them, will help me to know that you have understood the lesson or you haven't understood the lesson. Before that, I need you to answer these questions so that if there's anything you don't understand, okay, I've seen your message. Okay, I learned how to answer implied question. That's fine, yes. Any other, you can send me a message if you don't want to say it aloud. Kelvin Amusa, Daniel Asamoah, and then Wachiwa Bridgetta. You are the 4 participants left. Okay, I guess you have understood everything. So this is where we come to our lesson today. Hopefully, I hope that you can join me next week for us to look at the other types of questions which are based on the grammatical function of the words, and how to answer questions, and how to, as it were, give questions, how to answer questions on words that are synonyms. Okay, how to give another word or another phrase that means the same as the word that have been asked. So Daniel is saying that I've learned how to answer different types of comprehension questions. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you very, very much for your time. I hope that I'll meet you next week, and then enjoy the rest of your day.